Finally, I was getting obscenely bored.
If you're hearing our voices, it means it's time for It's This Meets That, the podcast where we watch the worst movies from trailer to end credits. Scene by scene, so you don't have to, but maybe you should. I'm Russ.
I'm Jared.
Yeah.
That's how I'm feeling about where this movie's at this point.
At this point, yeah. So, all right, we're back. Part 2 of The Invitation from 2022.
That's right.
With Nathalie Emmanuel and some other folks, Tom Doherty and a guy we used to work with in IT. Mm-hmm. And a couple other people. Mm-hmm. And Renfield Field.
And Renfield Field. Yeah.
The butler.
Right off the bat, confirming for sure his name is Renfield Field.
All right, so we're back. Part 2. Finishing this thing up. We had so many questions to answer, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll get to as many as we can.
Mm-hmm.
If time allows.
If time allows, right? Mm-hmm. All right, so let's get right back into it. So we get a quick day mansion shot, right? Mm-hmm. And then we're in Evie's room. We get the orange dress from the trailer. She FaceTimes with her friend. And this is like... she's got her phone like on the window, like sitting somehow in the window.
It's on like a suction cup attached to the window, I think. Like it's on like a little arm. Like, is that something that everyone has? I
don't know. It just felt so weird to be like, in the way it's framed, like it's set up for like the little opening for like a bird to hit the window. I'm like, when's the bird gonna hit the window? It's like, why?
Attached to the window. Yeah, it's stupid.
So she's chatting with her, and then we get a jump scare of a bird flying into the window. So did I miss it? Did the shriekers come? Did these birds play a part later on?
Yeah, they do another little bit later, I think. Okay, I don't remember. We'll get there. But anyway, so a couple things to note about this scene too. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, like they're kind of having a little complaint fest about the situation so far, but it's like in like a playful way, like complain about how white everybody is, which is fair, and then complaining about this like dress thing, which like. Rightfully so, and I think we pointed it out in other movies because it's like it's a tired movie trope that's like also something you would never do in real life. It's like just buy a person that you don't know a dress. Like it's so difficult to find women's clothes that fit. Like Thais brought it up too. She's like, every time we see that in a movie, she's like, that's so ridiculous. Yeah, like every brand it has like different sizes. Like women's clothes make no sense.
Yeah, and this is like totally, and it still plays on that fantasy princess story, right? Like swept away in the castle in England. There's accents and charming guys and. Yep,
exactly. And so her friends like calls it out. She's like, you know what they say when a man buys you a dress, and they kind of like leave it hanging. Ugh. I don't like where this is going. But anyway, so the strike hits the window, and then we get a nice shot of the half moon for whatever reason, which I was like, shouldn't it be like a full moon? How long are we going to be here for?
Transition shot. We're not sure what to do. We'll just do a shot of the moon.
Yeah.
And then we're at the garden party outside, right? Very cold out there, it seems. You can see everyone's breath all the time. So she gets.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah, later on when DeVille and Victoria are talking, like you see their breath. I'm like, oh, cold evening. So, anyways, she gets announced as she shows up. She wasn't expecting. Everyone's clapping. Everyone's like, yay!
Yeah. Somebody offers her beef carpaccio, and she's like, hell no,
hell no. And then we meet our next two characters, the maids of honors, Victoria and Lucy. They get announced, right?
Victoria with a K. I misspelled it the first few times.
Oh, I did too. I misspelled it all the time.
I corrected myself later. But very like Eastern European.
Yeah. It's a hard sound.
Exactly. Victoria.
Yeah. So Victoria. She comes in. She's a big British bitch, huh? Right off the bat.
She's not friendly. No.
She's tall.
She's like, oh, we were expecting you to not be American.
Yes.
And she's like, oh man.
What were you expecting? I was expecting something else. It's like, back off. And yeah, Evie's just kind of like, all right, enough.
Yeah.
So then Evie just walks away. She goes get some wine, and Lucy comes over, and they connect over traveling in New York. And didn't finish my sentence apparently. So
yeah, it makes sense. But so even before that, when they're first together, when they're still together with Victoria, like a couple of important things are like, she's like, oh, how do you? Evie asks, how do you know the bride? And the two of them like,
right. Yeah, right.
What? And then Lucy's like, oh, her, yeah, she's a friend of the family. And then they do a ton of exposition here, right? This is here when she's like, Lucy explains, oh, well, like my family does the accounting and her family does the other accounting. And
finances is like, wait, what? Accounting of who's what?
It's all the same.
It's all the same.
Yeah, and of course you must know the Alexanders are the real estate brokers for the DeVille family. We all help out the DeVille family.
Yeah,
like, we all help each other, right?
Well, team effort,
kind of thing. And then Victoria gives her a lot of shit about humdrum. Like, oh, your life in New York sounds pretty humdrum. Who says that?
Yeah, Victoria's with K, isn't her name?
Yeah, sorry. So that's when they go over to the bar. Evie goes over to the bar. Lucy comes back over and is like, I've always wanted to go to New York. I don't travel very much. And Evie's like, well, I'll take you to all the secret spots. And she's like, oh my God. Like she's gushing about it. But as a viewer, I'm like, what?
It's a soft setup for a payoff later on. Like connection. It's a little too weak for my liking, but yeah, agreed.
I mean, they do it a few times. Like they do build it up more. Like this is like the start of them.
I guess I guess they do. That's right, when they get the nails done and do that whole thing. Yeah,
there's like at least a couple more times. Yeah. So then they introduce Walter, right?
Walter, he shows up, and he goes right to Evie and takes her center stage to go for a little dance, and she's not very good.
No, she is not.
Yeah. And
she's very nervous.
And we get, it's from the trailer, but we literally get the same line from A Christmas Prince. Why is everyone staring at me? Can you blame them? It's like literally the same.
It's so frustrating.
It's the same line.
Yeah. And then funny. Meanwhile, Victoria off in the corner is talking to Oliver, complaining about Evie.
Ollie, yeah.
It's like, oh, female Alexander, congratulations, are in order. I thought you all dried up.
Yep.
I was like, what a weird turn of phrase for this particular scenario. And then we cut back over to Walter and Evie, and he's like, should we get out of here? And she's like, isn't this your party? Like, you're supposed to host? And he's like, too many sycophants.
Yeah.
What?
Okay.
And so they leave.
Yeah. Then we're on the mansion grounds, just walking around, doing some statue chats. And then we got a fun fast fact that there have been no wolves in England for over 400 years.
Yeah.
Which, that's true. I believe. Yeah. No, it's true. I did some digging on it. They've been trying to reintroduce them since like the 90s. Because the deer population is getting a lot out of control in certain areas.
Oh, that makes sense.
So they want to reintroduce the wolves, but then everyone's like, well, what about the sheep? And then because you bring the wolves, you eat the deer, then the deer go away, then the sheep, You
give a mouse a cookie.
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of interesting. I also think this is interesting because he says that there's no wolves in England, and I'm going to call out Renfield Field later on for something he says that I'm like, really?
It's stupid. It's pretty dumb. But this is basically where you get a little bit of that more exposition about Walter and what his goals are here. Because she's like, oh, don't you ever get bored having all of these things, like your awesome life? And he's like, well, even a life of indulgence has drawbacks. You're like, what?
Yep.
I don't think so. It sounds amazing. And then that's when she asked, what about the ice house? Finally, she's like, what's that building over there? And he's like, oh, that's the ice house.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, don't worry about that. Yeah, that was the house the little spot she spotted when she went out for her midnight jog.
Yeah. Like, I've got something better to show you.
Pottery time in the pottery barn.
That's right. He brings her to his pottery barn.
He's like, guess what I do? I make potteries.
Which I don't think so.
I don't think that's true. I think that's just that's a player playing the game right there.
Yeah. And I do love in this dress. And he's like, I'll just buy you a new one. Oh, I can see how that could come across. Yeah, you're a dick.
So then, we learn, her mom taught her how to make ceramics. He's got parent issues too. They're both dead, right? He's being mysterious, right?
Because he's 1,000 years old. We already know this.
Yes, but
as the viewer, we're already like, okay, I get it.
Yeah. And he's like, I got no redeeming quality. She's not buying it.
Well, and this is, I think, the start maybe of my gripes with the script. Of like,
oh, now at this point,
yes, because like so far most of the dialogue has been like fine,
but
it starts to get ridiculous, I think, here when she's like, look at us, a couple of orphans, like, what a Dickens book. And he's like, Dickens wouldn't write about me, I've got no redeeming qualities. Quit playing the bad guy. Like, you're such a sexy bad guy.
So mysterious. Yeah.
And he's like, well, I only apologized about the butler thing because I was trying to impress you. And she's like, she like looks kind of like, she's like, oh, but then she's like, whatever. like you're just trying to like show me all this awesome stuff to torture me. Like, I can't imagine waking up to this every day. And he's like, oh, you better imagine it, baby.
You want to kiss?
Like, when are you going to kiss me? She's like, what makes you think I wanted to kiss you? And then they do like a question back and forth for like 5 more minutes. You're like,
just get to it. Come on.
Yeah. And then the fireworks start. Actual fireworks.
Actual fireworks. Yep.
And she's like, what a cliche. Because yes. And he's like, well, should I turn him off? What? And then it's the most awkward movie kiss I think I've ever seen.
Yeah,
like, they have no chemistry.
No. It's supposed to be magical, but it's not.
Yeah. And you can see Victoria watching from the window. Which is also funny.
It's just like, dun, 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 dastardly.
So frustrating.
So then end of dinner party, we get DeVille saying goodbye to all the people, and then he goes and chats with Victoria, right?
Yep. And he's like, play nice.
And then we get a mansion transition, right?
Yep. Mansion.
Yep, night mansion. We get a little hallway check. It all seems to be quiet on the western front here.
That's right.
And then we're in Evie's room, and Spidey sense kicks in. She kind of senses something, right? The curtains are fluttering, and then she sees a figure of a woman, right? Ceiling starts moving, kind of like.
Well, the floor creaks.
Yeah. Trying to build up some tension here, and then something like the ceiling, right? It's like pierces through.
She's got one of those, listeners, like one of those like 4-post beds with like a sheet over the top.
Oh, okay, that's what that was. Okay,
yeah,
I was having a hard time figuring out what it was, and she kept looking up. I was like, "Is that in the ceiling?"
No, it's a canopy. It's a canopy over her bed.
That's right. It's England's fancy.
Yeah, exactly. And so there's someone like crawling on the canopy. Like you can like see some hands on it, and she freaks out, smashes the lamp, and then jumps under the bed because that's the safe place from the thing that was on top of your bed.
Hey, decisions we make in situations,
that wouldn't be mine. Like, why wouldn't you run out the door?
Yeah, I'd be out that door and get
there's a door
home. Yeah, calling a cab, go home, bring me back to America.
Yeah, nope, hide under the bed. So she does that, and also at this point, it looked like there was a light on in the room.
Oh, I don't know, maybe.
And I was like, who turned the light on? What's happening? And then that's when the vampire like reaches down, like she's under the bed, like cowering, and then you like see the hand come down.
Yeah.
And then they try to jump scare you by her getting dragged from the other side of the bed.
And it's just DeVille. He's like, I gotcha.
Yeah. And she's like, something's in here. And he's like,
just
where? Yeah, I don't see anything.
I've been looking around. I don't see nothing.
And then this like was kind of jarring for me because there's like a weird cut almost of like, he's like, where's the stuff? And then it's like, oh, a few minutes later.
Well, they do a night mansion transition. They do an outside shot of the night mansion.
Oh, okay.
And then they come back in, and this is actually, I think, time wise, the halfway point of the movie.
Yeah, just about. Yeah. And this is when Mrs. Swift comes in to try and clean up. And Evie's like trying to help, and she's like, no, don't do anything. And like there's a weird like knife or something inside of the statue.
Yeah, I was confused by that too, because that comes back later on, a little setup. But I was like, what is this?
It's very confusing.
Walter shows up, and he's just like, so how about a sleepover?
Yeah, why don't I stay until you fall asleep? And she's like, oh, that would be great. Do you have a preference for which side of the bed? And I was like, wait, I just assumed he would be sitting in a chair.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I have no preference. And so then they get in bed. It's very weird.
And then she's like, talk to me. So they go into some deep chat, and he's like, what do you want to do with your life? I hate small talk, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, I want to live free. I want to throw caution to the wind. I want to, and he's like, I want to share and enjoy all he has with someone. And oh my God. Someone, find someone that will truly see him as he is.
Right. Exactly.
Which I don't know if he really wants that, but the monster that he is.
And like, I love how he's like, no, we have to have a deep conversation. And she's like, talk to me so I fall asleep, because then she falls asleep. You're like, what a good listener you are. Like, that's what I mean. Like, this, I feel like the script gets way worse in the second half of this movie.
Yeah, it does get a little choppy. Yeah, because then he's like, oh, saying, he's like, having money doesn't matter, whatever. And she's like, only rich people say that.
Right.
Okay. Laying it on thick, which is fine. Sometimes you need that, I guess. I don't know. Anything else happen there that's important?
No, she just falls asleep while he's talking. That's about it.
And we wake up next morning. He's gone. He left a nice little note. I don't want to wake you.
Yeah, he left a weird card. Like
yeah.
It's like, you looked peaceful, so I didn't wake you up. See you tomorrow.
Yeah.
I think that was implied. Like, what?
Yeah.
I don't know. Weird.
We get a hard knock on the door, and Lucy and Victoria just bust in. It's spa day, motherfucker.
Mm-hmm. Spa day for the bridal party, which I was like, does she know that she's in the bridal party? Like, she knows that there are two bridesmaids, or maids of honor, but
yeah,
I don't know.
She's just not picking things up here and putting them down. So then we get to I guess there's some missed calls and stuff from her friend, right? Texts and stuff like that.
So Victoria's like, leave your phone behind. There's no service where we're going. And you're like, what, red flag number 15?
15.
Yeah, whatever, we're on here. And she's like, okie dokie, puts on her robe, and then they just show the phone with like a bunch of unanswered texts from her friend. And then one text from her at the end that's saying like, I'm alive, don't worry.
Yeah.
Lol. Okay.
So then they get to the spa, and then we get the old creepy ladies with masks on shot, right? And then Lucy and Evie go to get a manicure, and this is stuff from the trailer. And then Victoria goes to the swim.
Yeah, right behind her. Basically, they're all in the same room.
Yeah, and I guess you're right. This is more of a connection between Lucy and Evie, where they just start chatting away and like, oh, I was one to sister chat. Like,
I'm excited to meet the bride, and Lucy's like, yeah, I'll bet. Do you ever want to get married someday? She's just like, I don't know, I'm really young, so like maybe not. You're like, oh, well, are you sure you don't want to be married? And then like, Lucy cannot take a joke. Like, Evie talks about not having siblings and like how her parents probably wanted a refund on her if they could. Ha ha ha. And Lucy's like, no, I don't think that's true at all. And you're like,
it's a
okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And Victoria is basically like, all right, calm down over there, Lucy. Like, don't worry, we'll all be fucking together soon enough. Just you wait.
Just you wait. And then did she get this when she gets her finger cut? It's all stuff from the trailer, right?
Yeah, well, this is when they start to do more exposition. And so like Victoria starts pressing her, and she's like, what has Walter said about us? Like, what about like the family here? What do you know? Like, shouldn't you have asked more questions before you've gotten to this point? Like, Victoria actually being a reasonable person instead of a monster, seemingly. And she's not doing it in a very nice way, but she's just like, why haven't you thought to ask any of those? Like, shouldn't you be suspicious of all of this?
Yeah.
And she's like, no, just like Evie's like, whatever, leave me alone. And like, meanwhile, it's like cutting back and forth. Like, it's another one where first of all, they gave it away, the scare away in the trailer.
Yeah.
But also, like, they build up to it too much. Like, they just cut back and forth. Like, fingernails to hurt. Like, things are getting really heated with Victoria, and like the music is getting intense. And you're like, and then finally she's just like, what the hell is your problem? And then that's when she gets her finger cut. And Victoria's like, ooh, mind if I suck it?
I'll have to do some weird finger sucking thing on you.
Yeah, exactly. And then Evie
getting weird
walks out. And Victoria's like, don't worry, she'll love us soon enough. Okay.
Right. And then Evie decides to do a little B&E and breaks into the library.
Yeah.
Where she was told not to go.
That's right.
She walks in. Yeah, it's dark. It's dark. She's a klutz, and she's checking out a folder of papers on DeVille's desk there, and she knocks over, breaks this vase or something on the floor, finds a folder full of details about her and like the Find Yourself profile.
A printed out Facebook page. Like, it's like very funny.
538 friends. Come on, lame.
Yeah. Oh, you noticed that?
Yeah.
Nice.
And then we go Evie room, right?
Yep. Then it's the next morning.
Yep. And she's packing. She's packing real hard. And I don't know what that means. Yeah, packing her bags
real hard.
Packing her bags real hard. Mm-hmm. And DeVille shows up and she's pissed. She's like, "What is this? What do you got here? You got this dossier on me. What's this all about? You know?"
So, whoa! I can explain. He's like, and she's like, "Well, you got my criminal record checked." And like,
yeah.
And he's like, "You're just being obstinate." And she's like, "You're being arrogant." Like, it's still like, the script is just, the dialogue's horrible. Like, they're like fighting, but they're also flirting still, and like not in a way that makes any sense.
Yeah, and he's got a reasonable cover story for it. He's like, "Well, what do you think? I want to know everything about a stranger I invite into my home."
Right.
And he slowly convinces her that it wasn't a bad thing. Yeah,
people try to take advantage of me. No one's ever tries to take advantage of you. She's like,
"Ooh,
really?
Shit." Ooh, I mean, I take that back. I take that back.
Yeah. And then he's like, "Yeah," and Oliver knows how much I hate technology, so like he printed me out your Facebook page, and like the only thing I'm guilty of is being intrigued. And she's like, "Nice, okay."
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Did we just have our first fight?" What? And she's like, "Don't be charming." This is the stupidest dialogue I ever heard. He's like, "Please don't run away." And she's like, "Okay." She literally just says, "Okay."
Yep.
No more secrets. And then they kiss and have sex.
Yep. They make up, make out, and get it on.
It's so frustrating.
Next morning, or later on, now we get day mansion transition here. Mm-hmm. Still in her room, they're hanging in bed, a little post time bedtime, right?
Yeah.
Time to get ready, and he's kind of talking about having a shotgun wedding. Why don't we have a shotgun wedding, right?
Yeah. He proposes to her. He's like, "Will you marry me?" And she's like, "You're high on sex." And he's like, which is a weird thing to say to someone. Mm-hmm. And she's like, "But yes,
I accept." She says, "I accept," right?
Yeah. And you're like, "What?" Because then they kiss. It doesn't seem like it's a joke.
Yeah. I mean, even if you were joking, that's not a.
Yeah. And then they kiss, and he slaps her butt, and he's like,
"See ya.
I got you a dress in the closet." More gifts. I was joking, right? And then he smiles and walks away.
Like what?
I hate this movie.
Oh man, I think we're close.
We're starting to get to the action anyway.
Yeah, and here it is. So now it's dinner time, right? And this is
cello transition.
Yeah, right. Yeah, cello transition. And this is where things start picking up, and all the pieces come together for her finally after 17, 18 red flags here. Mm-hmm. So we get and this is most of this is in the trailer too, for the most part. All the masked up guests at the dinner table, right?
Yeah, we got a good looking fancy feast here. We do some food,
lobster,
shots.
A little surf and turf. We get some fish.
A lot of meat.
And everyone's sitting there waiting, and it's like, guess who's late?
Evie,
the American girl.
Yeah, always
late. So then, she finally shows up, red dress, looking very medieval.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, it fits the decor of the home and everything else that's going on. So.
Yeah, but also it's like a very different style dress than what everyone else is wearing, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a little more epic, a little more grand, a little more head of the table. So she's sitting at the head of the table too, right? Masks come off, right?
Which she doesn't say anything about. Like, she doesn't she assumes that she's going to be at the head of the table with Walter, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just bad character writing.
Yeah. So he welcomes her. "Hey, how you doing?" Then he takes his glass and we get a little speech, right? He does a speech welcoming three families, four families, whatever. They do he introduces them and being like, "Thank you for being here for so long." And blah, blah, blah.
Right before that, she does a quick, "We're the bride and groom."
Yeah, yes, that's right.
And he smiles and kisses her hand. Again, just completely ignores her question.
It's a great marriage if you're not answering questions.
Right. And they talk about the 4 families and how they served each other for generations, like you were saying. And
they all do the salute with the fingers to the lips thing, whatever, right?
Yep. And from the trailer, there's been someone missing. The broken bond will be renewed. And then he finishes a sentence, unlike the trailer. When Evie and I are wed.
God's neat. Like, God's neat. Let's eat.
Yeah, basically. She's like, what are you doing? And he's like, no, it's cool. Everything's cool. And then we do the throat cut thing, right?
Well, yeah. Well, he makes another. Yeah. I guess it's all one big. Yeah, like kind of two separate. One big,
yeah.
There was a breakup between them, but yes. And then he does like the speech again where he's like, sorry to break it up again. And he talks about the wedding thing. But then, yeah, then.
Well, because they do more speech after the throat cut thing too.
Yeah, I mean, it's him just pretty much doing a bunch of talking the whole time, right? So
explaining the whole movie. Yeah.
Yes. So then we get the throat cut thing, and this is when we get Evie vision, where she's just blurred vision for a lot.
And finally, I was getting obscenely bored from Victoria.
Time for a drink. I was like, all right, let's fire this party up right now, right? This is all from the trailer, though. So it's like, I was ready for it. We're all ready for it, right? So she's freaking out. She's got foggy vision, right?
From the trailer, and this is when I was like, I guess I was slightly, the one thing I didn't get given away by the trailer was like, I just assumed all of them were vampires.
I did too.
And this was the big reveal scene of like, oh no, the rest of them are not, which we'll get to in a second.
Yeah.
But, so like everyone starts eating food.
Yep. And aggressively. Because we're in her vision, right? So it's like foggy and like people are just mashing food down their mouths. Like, it's all really gross. See, rich bastards eating like animals, right? Yeah. They pour out a glass of human Merlot. Everyone gets a splash, right?
Yeah.
And then we get like a quick flashback to like the family tree where they finally like try to connect all these dots for like the viewer or something. It's really weird, right?
This is when Walt does more exposition, and he's like, like the rest of you are mortals, and like thankfully we have granted, like, you trade me brides, and I give you safety. Yeah. He's like, there always need to be 3 wives. That's how we remain powerful. When there are 3 wives, like
that's right.
Triples is best. Triples keeps it safe. Like you need to have 3. And then Emmeline chose to leave us, and then it's like. Then there's more flashbacks. She has flashbacks of all of the things that have led up to this when they gave it away for us.
Yes.
And she's like, oh, what?
Oh, no.
And then she's like, so to Evie, my new bride, cheers. You brought new life to these 4 walls. Maybe enough to make this old heart beat again. And everyone's like,
yeah, I mean, everyone's having a good time, right?
Like, that's the other thing that's weird about the script here too, is just like, why wouldn't they realize that she would be mortified? Like, why would they think that she would think this is normal?
Yeah, I agree.
Oliver's like, congratulations are in order, cousin. Yeah. And she's like,
maybe because they're like trying to downplay it, but I don't know. How do you downplay that?
I don't know. You can't. Like,
you can't. Just slit some maid's throat and drank the blood. Like,
right, and you're going to be a vampire wife and live forever. Like, you can't downplay any of this.
No.
So then she's like, I gotta go. And she gets up to leave, right?
Yeah, and she's still blurry vision. She's trying to walk away. They won't let her go. Mrs. Swift seems genuinely concerned for her, right?
She looks uncomfortable.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So that's a little setup for maybe something later. And then she's banging on the door trying to get out, and then DeVille sneaks up behind her, gives her a little smooch, and he's like, get her prepared for tomorrow.
Yeah, and from the trailer, like, I want to go home. He's like, this is your home.
What do you mean? You are home. Yeah, where else do you want to go?
She's like, she calls everyone out. She's like, why are you all just sitting there and like, help me?
Yeah.
And the maid's like, and then it's the get prepared. Weirdly, like, he's saying this to Lucy and Victoria. Mm-hmm. And they're like, get it prepared. Tonight is yours. Tomorrow is mine. And you're like, what does that mean?
I don't know what's going on. So, yeah. All right. So now we're down in the dungeon here.
Yep.
Crocodile Dungeon.
That was your prognostication.
Was Emily's dungeon.
Emily's dungeon is what the
would have been so great if she was in the corner in her wheelchair and just like, welcome to my dungeon.
That would be pretty funny. Poor Emily.
Poor Emily. So she's tied up. This was a shot from the trailer too. And then Lucy and Victoria show up, bachelorette party.
We'll be sisters.
Yay.
Three perfect dolls for the master. This is the start of the rest of the exposition, right?
Yes, a whole bunch more, right, about why this is happening. And they need the blood to make them all powerful. And we get this very important detail about how she can get all his power by drinking his blood, but the bond won't be complete until he drinks hers.
Yeah, Emily was her grandmother, and she decided not to feed on people anymore, and that's why this is the whole thing. You're not going to let me down anymore, right?
Yeah.
And then Victoria has been with him for 500 years, we get explained.
Yeah.
Lucy's only been with him for 100, so she's the young wife. You get superpowers for as long as the master lives. And that's basically it.
Just wrap that up and
yeah. She's like, so do you get it now?
Are there any other details you need?
Yeah, and then that's when they do another like attempted jump scare that's stupid of like number 5 there like jumps out from the corner
like
and she's
chained.
also tied up. Okay.
And
then he's like, no, don't kill her. And she does a little reveal to Victoria that she likes this one. And Victoria's like, oh, this one?
This one.
Good. Clean it up and save it for the ceremony tomorrow. And then there's like a tiny bit more exposition about like, oh no, we're allowed to be outside during the day. So many misconceptions about our kind.
We're daywalkers like Blade.
Yeah. And I was surprised you didn't say anything about it in the Fast Facts because I was hoping there would be some kind of connection. The music, and they do this kind of carry it through the rest of the movie too. Like it feels like it's like weird like 70s vampire movie music. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't actually, it's funny because it didn't stand out to me.
Oh,
which is
like
strange.
Like
usually that stuff is like jumps out to me and I'm like, what is this? Huh.
There's like a couple of certain sounds, like some kind of like one of the synths that they're using or something. And I'm like, oh, this sounds like it's like a weird old vampire movie.
I think they were just trying to do like a nod to old vampire movies. Oh,
probably.
Yeah, interesting. I don't know. I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
So then that ends with Victoria tossing her ass in a coffin, right?
Yep.
And then we get a day mansion transition shot, right?
Yeah. She's just like pounding on the inside of the coffin, basically.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, no, you cannot escape, apparently.
So she's still in the coffin. And then we get something scooting by and like starts prying open the coffin, right?
Yep. We're not sure if we're supposed to be scared or otherwise.
Guess who it is? Mrs. Swift.
Yeah, Mrs. Swift, our hero.
Yeah, she moves so quickly. And she was
Taylor
like,
Swift.
Your great-grandmother was a dear friend of mine, right? Great-grandmother? Right.
Yep. Regular, plain grandmother. Just
plain grandmother? Oh, your grandmother was a dear friend of hers, of Mrs. Swift. So she's like, I want to save you, get out of here. So then we get some kill details here, very important. She's like, steak, beheading, or fire. Kill all of them.
Yeah. I hate it. They just jam so much in.
Yeah. I love how I like how she just lists. She's like, steak, beheading, fire can kill them, just so you know. And just go for a run and just keep running once you leave England.
Yeah. Don't stop until you're on a plane out of town here. Yeah. And then they're like, what's going to happen to you, Mrs. Swift? She's like, I'll get what I deserve.
God. So everyone's freaking out. The bells are ringing. And then we get her running into the dungeon area here, and we get Mr. Renfield Field. He's got his butcher knife going hunting, right?
Yeah, it's very odd and frustrating.
Yeah, people finding out that she's missing. Bells are still ringing. There's search party on the woods, and we're in the mansion grounds. She runs for the ice house, right?
Yep, she goes into the door of the ice house and discovers
bodies,
a bunch of bodies.
And then she hides because she hears some people coming. She's hiding underneath one of the tables. The ice table's there. And then Mr. Fields and a bro drop off Mrs. Swift's body. Just flump.
Yeah.
She gone.
Yeah. And they do a classic reveal shot of like her looking up from beneath the table and just like the flop of her head, of Mrs. Swift's head over on the other side. And you're like, no.
Her point of view of seeing her face is pretty good. And then she makes a little noise because blood's dripping on her face, and Mr. Renfield Fields there. He hears it.
Yeah.
He starts snooping around, and then she just makes a break for it and locks him into the ice house.
Yeah. And he's like, we'll hunt you down. Yeah, okay.
All right. Easy, Mr. Renfield Fields. So we're in the woods, and she's running.
Yeah. Bells are still ringing. And then there's a town.
She spots a town, yeah. And quickly, it took her 8 hours to get there, apparently.
Yep.
It's foggy, creepy nighttime town here. And she finds an old couple. And they own, of course, some creepy doll tiny tea shop, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. There's creepy dolls everywhere. And then, so she goes in there, she's like, I need help, blah, 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 whatever. So,
yeah.
Old guy goes to call, I'm assuming up to the mansion there.
Yeah. And the woman offers her tea, suspicious tea.
How does she say chamomile too? She's like, that's
chamomile.
Chamomile. It's like,
that's how British people say chamomile.
Okay.
Because there's someone else offered her, Mrs. Swift offered her
chamomile,
chamomile or something like that.
Chamomile tea.
Chamomile.
Would you like some chamomile tea? Timothy chamomile tea. So she's got the tea. She took a couple sips, I think, right?
Yep, she did. Yep.
And then lady goes to grab the phone. Old dude comes up. So she's walking around the shop and she spots an old photo of the mansion. She spots Mr. Field, and then who's in that group right there? The group photo of all the waiting maids and help.
Vampire brow.
The old couple, right?
Yep. Yep.
Yikes!
You see it.
They're all in it. So.
Yep. And then that's when you're like starting to think, oh, maybe that tea isn't such a good idea.
maybe that tea isn't tea. Mm-hmm. Yikes.
And the guy's like,
drink up,
have a seat, drink your tea. They're on their way. You should really drink your tea.
Drink your fucking tea. Drink it now.
And she's like, okie dokie. And then she goes to put it to her mouth and throws it in his face.
Little sizzle.
And then from the trailer, you get the old lady bashing her in the head. And it's like, don't fuck this up for all of us, my dear. Which is pretty funny.
Nothing better than an old lady dropping an F-bomb, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so she's knocked out. And then we wake up in a library, I think, right?
Yep, with Walt.
Walt and one of the maids.
I think it's number 5, isn't it still?
I don't know. No, I think it's a different one because number 5 actually survives. I think it's number 4.
Oh, you're right.
So chilling on the couch, and he gives his whole spiel about you may know me. Yeah, he put some tunes on. He's like, nice effort. He's like, you may know me, son of the dragon, Nosferatu. I've had multiple names.
Yeah, it's so frustrating. He's like, in the old country, they call me blah blah blah, and then she literally goes, "Are you telling me you're?" And then they cut it off. So mad. And he's like, think about what you're gaining here. A life of privilege, a family dedicated to you. Isn't that what you want? Family?
Oh my God.
But she spits in his face, and then they do some touching stuff.
And he's like, you already agreed to the marriage. It was a trap.
Right. You have no say here.
Yeah. Maid next door is not having a good time. He goes over and he's like, I'll take care of this. Goes for a little ankle taste, you know?
Yeah.
Evie faints. Fade to black. Yeah,
and again, the script is awful. Of like, the fibula is so underrated, in my opinion. When he's like drinking from her leg.
Is that what he said? I meant to go back, but I was like, I don't even want to.
It was that.
Yeah, you're right. This movie did like in the second act. It just takes like a halfway through. It just takes this turn of just
stopped writing it. They were like, give it to the kid over there. Like the intern will fix it.
All right, so we fade in and we are basically in the dungeon church, I think. And
yeah, it's kind of hard to recognize because we get like through something. We're looking through something here.
Yeah, it's like her wedding veil, whatever, right? Wedding dress veil, right? So we got creepy wedding music going. And it comes into focus. We got great Uncle Francis or great Uncle Eye Patch there. He's walking her down. Yeah, gives her a little awkward smooch.
Everyone's there, even old Mangleface that she just mangled himself.
Yep, he's there. He's like, I forgive you. And then we got Scorpion from Mortal Kombat doing the vows.
Yeah, it was weird. Like, why is he masked like this?
Yeah, COVID down in the basement, you know?
I guess so. And this is from the trailer also of like, I'm so glad you come to your senses, my love. like
yeah.
I
don't think there was any.
They do a ceremony. Like, do you take this woman? Do you take the master?
Well, and And in the meantime, she's like looking around. It's funny. You commented, hey, he looked like he's from Mortal Kombat too.
Yeah.
And then, but in the meanwhile, he's doing the whole like speech there for wedding stuff there. She's like checking her options, right? She sees all the candles on top of the table.
And she has all the flashbacks to,
yes. Yeah.
It all ends here with me.
Yep.
Flashbacks of things that she doesn't know about or has any memory of.
Nope. But then she does get some, like, there's a quick flashback of her back in her bed listening to her mother's Be Awesome speech, right?
Yeah.
And then meanwhile, they cut his wrists, take a little sip.
Yeah.
And
well, she says yes.
Yes. Yeah. She's like, do you take it? And he's like, yep. She's like, yes. And then she goes all in on that wrist, just like.
And he's
all
like,
in.
Slow down, baby.
Yeah, give me them powers. Give me them powers, yo.
You're drinking too much. And Victoria's like, meanwhile, in the background's like, oh, like, so I don't want to share him.
Yeah.
But he's looking a little drained now.
A little bit. He's a little weakened. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then she goes through transformation, right? Blood kind of courses through her veins, right?
Yeah. Everyone's doing the finger salute to her.
The old 2-finger salute. And then
music turns more into that like old vampire movie style.
Yeah, and then she smiles because she can, I think, sense all the power flowing through here. Ultimate power. Mm-hmm. And then she takes a quick look at the maid, right? And she's gonna go up to like go take a bite, and he's like, "Whoa, you gotta come back!" And she she goes up and then she just swipes all the candles off the table, and
And the vampire transition, in my opinion, took way too long. It was like 2 minutes of her just being like, they're like showing her eyes and like showing all of her vein, like so vascular.
Yeah. So
I don't care about any of this.
All right, I got like 2 things here to ask. One thing.
Please.
So she swipes these candles off the top of the altar, right?
That's right. Yep.
Now, don't forget, we're in a dungeon that's made of concrete.
Sure.
But this, I'm assuming, is what basically burns the entire mansion down.
Well, I think it's the dungeon chapel where I think there is some wood involved.
There is some wood. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. I'll buy that.
It's the dungeon chapel. So.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Everyone has a dungeon chapel, of course.
So that fire spreads real fast.
Yeah.
So then she does that, and then where did the stake come from?
It was like the devil cross thing behind.
For some reason
it was like a decoration. It's just a decoration.
The flashback. I got mixed up. The flashback was of the sharp object, and she was piecing together like, I need to find a stake to put through her. Got it.
Yeah. So this was just a random
piece of
like little statue.
Yeah.
Stabs him through the stomach with, it looks like.
I thought it was like more of like it wasn't his heart entirely. It was like more. It was
definitely not his heart.
It was like his upper chest. Like she missed big time, but he was going down though. So Lucy and Victoria run up to get him, and he was aging real fast, and definitely some Darth Sidious there kind of moments, or whatever, his Palpatine moments.
Yep.
So I don't know. So then we're dungeon hallway. We're right.
Evie and the servant both escape.
Yes,
and they're running through the halls. Yeah.
Yes. Running through the halls, and we get to the main entrance again, right? And Victoria catches up with her, and we got our first boss battle.
Yep. Exactly. Victoria's basically like, "Do you think you can change thousands of years? Like, you think you killed him? Like, no way. It was a flesh wound." Yeah. Like, if you killed him, could I do this? And then like stabs Evie like through her chest, like with her claws, and you're like, "What?"
And then looks like she's gonna be in a tough situation here, but then she gets her first savior here. The maid comes up behind Victoria and hits her with something, right? And then Victoria's like, "Get out of here!"
Yeah,
and slaps her across the thing. Evie's like, "Yo, run, go get help, get out of here!"
Right. Yep.
And then Victoria's got Evie again by the neck, right?
Calling her a halfling. And
then we get our payoff here. Lucy shows up and takes a swipe at Victoria, and then they fight.
Yeah, Victoria like throws Evie across the room, and Evie like faints again. It's like the 10th time Evie has fainted in this movie.
Yeah, she gets tossed. She's down. So then Lucy and Victoria are fighting, right? And Lucy's they're battling, and then Lucy runs them both into the spear that was on the dragon, St. George statue there, right?
That's right.
What was the spear made out of? Why would that kill them like that?
Metal, I guess. I don't know.
I was like, was there some other ingredient we missed? Was it silver or something? Because
and that's what made me think when I was questioning earlier the beheading of the other wife. I was like, maybe the wives can just die regularly.
Yeah, because it goes to their stomachs. It's not like it goes to their heart like that. So they just die and then they just turn into dust and disappear.
Yeah. Hilarious.
Like if they should have done that with the first wife to show that that's what would happen, and then this would have been like, cool.
Yeah, agreed.
Now you've introduced a new thing that we have no idea how that works. So
it doesn't make any sense.
No, especially after you said that vampires, which they are, can only be killed by beheading, stakes, or fire.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you gotta track those things, I guess.
Yeah. In movie logic, falls apart.
Yeah. Also, why would you have something around the house that's laying like that in a perfect space that could just kill you? That seems like a bad idea. Bad sculpture. Anyways, Evie finally gets up.
Mr. Field shows up, though.
Mr. Renfield Fields, right?
Yeah. And he tries to
spear. Yeah, with a big spear. And he pushes her all the way through like one of the rooms into another room, right? Mm-hmm. He's got her. She's holding the thing. It's like right against her, stomach or something, or chest, or whatever. Yeah. And he's just being a real asshole. Like all the things he keeps saying is just like, whatever. I don't know. He says just a bunch of shit to piss her off, right?
I should have cut that baby's head off when I had the chance. Like, the baby was her grandmother,
I guess. Yeah. And then he's like, I'm gonna take
her mother.
Her mother, yeah.
Yeah, or grandma. I
don't know. It doesn't matter. Then he says he's going to take her head off and feed it to the wolves, or was it that baby's
no, this is that scene. No.
When he says he's going to feed it to wolves, I was like, wait a second. Yeah. There's no wolves in England, you dumbass.
Right. It's stupid. and then it gets even dumber because then she stabs him with the thing that he was stabbing her with.
Yeah, she snaps it, the spear, and then grabs the end and stabs him right in the neck. I was kind of hoping she'd be like, like a good old 80s like kill line. She like stabs in the neck and like, fast fact, motherfucker, there are no wolves in England. That would have been better. That would have been better.
Instead, she just goes, asshole. Okay.
And then we got a flame mansion transition. So the entire place is up in flames now. So
yeah, she grabs a weapon and she goes back inside because she's like, I gotta, if Walt's not dead, I gotta finish him off.
Right. So we're back in the main entrance here. Fire is blazing. She's walking around. There's some creepy vampire bro hanging in the rafters. Is that him?
It's
or is
Walt.
It, oh, it was Walt. Okay. Because he's there, and then like it cuts to him just being somewhere else. But I guess he can do that, right?
Yeah, he's fast. And he's choking her then, and he's like, "I was doing you a favor by giving you all of this awesomeness," and she's like, "I'd rather die than be part of the awesomeness.
Yeah, you're
a monster."
Yeah,
like, I am a god.
Oh, you can't say that. That's not cool.
Yeah, and then she cuts off his arm with piano wire.
No, so
okay,
I was trying to figure out where she got this from. Is the room that they get pushed into, is that the clay room? Because the thing that she's got is the thing that you use to cut the clay blocks.
Piano wire.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Or like in the Hitman video games, the Garrett Groot, whatever. Anyways,
yeah,
it's the thing to cut the clay. And I was like, oh, there you go. That's a nice little.
Yeah, smart.
I don't know where she got it from though.
And also, like, that takes a lot of force to cut. Which I guess she's a vampire with superpowers. So
yeah, he's still alive, so she's got some strength to her. So. Cuts his arm off, good old Star Wars fashion. There's another connection for your New Hope there.
Oh, true. Great call.
Loses an arm. Mm-hmm. And then kicks him into the fire and he dies because he can't handle fire.
Yep. Pretty dumb.
And because he's dead, then everyone with vampire powers are no longer vampires. It's a hive mind kind of setup there, right?
Her claws go away. Her fangs go away. They show it all very explicitly.
And then she slow-mo walks out of the burning mansion.
Yeah. And it's so dumb. And then they show all of the things. So like, look, those are the servant bells. They're burning too. Mm-hmm. Look, there's the painting of your grandmother. It's burning too. Mm-hmm. Look, there's like everything that we've seen already in the movie. It's burning too. More slow-mo.
2 weeks later. 2 weeks later.
Mm-hmm.
Still in England, London.
I thought we were back in New York. I couldn't tell the difference.
Oh, I thought it was England. I thought it was London. Anyways.
Anyway, because
it was
her friend being here in a second made me think
yeah.
New York too.
Oh yeah. So 2 weeks later, yeah, okay. And he's got a real estate, I guess, group in New York. That makes sense.
Yeah. So he was doing business in town.
So 2 weeks later, we got Oliver doing a walk and talk, who we know isn't actually Oliver. It's some stunt double.
It's all cool.
Yeah.
We paid off the cops.
Yeah. And something about he's got to destroy evidence and stuff. I don't know, right? So he goes into his real estate office building, right?
Yeah. And he's like, don't worry about it. She's mortal. She doesn't even have any powers.
Can't do shit. Mm-hmm. And then we pan over and there's Evie and Grace hanging out across the street.
Yeah.
And I was like, so they are vampire human hunters?
I guess.
There are no vampires though now because they killed the main guy?
It seems like it. And her friend's like, oh, I'm loving your new look. And she like cut her hair real short and has like vampire claws. Inexplicably.
And she's like, what's the plan? Kill this motherfucker. Kill this guy.
Yeah. And then
that's the plan.
And then Grace is like, I got a bat. It's ironic, huh? Bat, vampire. And you're like, no, but that's just a man.
Yeah, he's not a vampire.
And then the credits roll. That's like the end. The end line is like, it's ironic, right? Bat, vampire. Nope.
There's no vampire. Nope.
It's just Oliver. It's just Oliver Alexander, the man.
Nope. You're just about to go beat up a human.
Right. Jesus Christ. So stupid. Like the second half completely falls apart.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely does. It's got strong second act vibes, as they say, which means it doesn't end well. Yeah, that wasn't I was disappointed with the ending. And I mean, just oh well, what are you gonna do?
Like I'm glad that it got so bad because I know we were both worried like, 60% of people enjoyed this. Maybe it's good.
Maybe.
And the first half was okay.
Yeah.
And then it went off the rails.
Crazy train, yeah.
Couldn't close.
No, couldn't finish. Couldn't seal the deal. Because like now it still feels like there's going to be sequels or something. Or like, what are they doing? Leaving this open to have? Were they going to do Hunt Down?
No, of course they're not going to do that.
Yeah. Why even have that? Just have it end with her walking out slow mo. The end. Done.
Yeah, so done.
All right. Well, I don't know. Is there anything else to say about this?
I guess not. I
can feel myself like halfway through getting so bored recanting and rethinking about this movie. I was like, yes. Oh no, I can feel it.
Mm-hmm. Like listeners, if you like crappy horror movies, like you should still probably watch it because it's fun. It's fun enough.
Yeah.
Like I don't feel like I completely wasted an hour and 45 minutes.
No.
It's definitely like eye rolling, but it's not the worst.
And I don't think it's in an hour 45. How'd you feel with the pacing? I felt like it paced fine. It didn't feel like it was longer than an hour and 45. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, the beginning I think felt a little slow, and then the end felt a little rushed to me. But otherwise, yeah it was fine.
Yeah, moved along. Mostly. So
yeah. But yeah, so like medium recommended. Like if you're gonna watch Clattergeist and then watch The Invitation as like a double feature, maybe that's a fun night.
Oh my god. A double feature.
Yeah.
Poltergeist in this. Yeah. Okay.
Could be good.
All right. So we just wrap this up. Should we put the nail in this coffin?
I guess.
All right. Yeah. Thanks everyone for listening. We'll be back next week with a new movie.
That's right.
We don't know what it is yet, so we're not going to say anything. But in the meantime, you can follow us on Instagram at It's This Meets That. Maybe we'll tease out what we're going to do.
Maybe.
Right, TMT Pod on Twitter, and subscribe wherever you listen.
Yeah, and when you're subscribing, write us a review. 5 stars. It's like right next to the subscribe button, probably.
Yeah.
Review button. I'm assuming. 5 stars would be delightful if you could. Maybe a comment. Helps the algorithm. Or if you want to give us long form feedback, that's not enough characters for you in the Apple Podcast review section, send us an email. It's thismeetsthat@gmail.com. Or you can find all the old episodes of It's This Meets That. You can find information about me and Russ. We're going to post stuff there in the future, someday safety tips, whatever you could possibly think of. It's all at the website, itsthismeetsthat.com.